One moment everything moves effortlessly like a gentle stream, and the next we are caught in whirlwinds of stress, chaos, and uncertainty. Truthfully, that is the very essence of growth, a series of unexpected challenges that push us to confront things we were never truly ready for. But in the midst of these storms, is it possible to keep our minds steady? Can we train ourselves to stay calm regardless of what happens around us? The answer is yes. Calmness is not some distant trait reserved for sages or extraordinary people. It is a skill, a habit that can be nurtured daily. And it all starts with mastering our own minds. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Stoicism teaches us that tranquility isn't about controlling the external world, but about mastering how we respond to it. In this journey, we will dive into practical ways to train our minds to stay composed, even in the midst of chaos. Because in the end, life isn't about avoiding the unexpected. It's about learning the art of embracing it. 1. Control your mind or let it control you. Has your mind ever felt like an enemy? Have you ever experienced moments where it seemed to work against you? Where unwanted thoughts intrude, negative emotions spiral out of control, and you end up acting in ways you later regret? This is not unusual. The human mind is incredibly complex, easily carried away by immediate emotions like anxiety, fear, anger, or disappointment. But the real question is, do you control your mind, or does it control you? Imagine you're at a party, enjoying a peaceful and comfortable evening. You're engaged in a pleasant conversation with a few friends when suddenly, someone makes a negative remark about you in front of everyone. A sharp comment, an unintentional slight, or even a deliberate criticism. If your mind is untrained, what happens? A wave of offense rushes in. Your heart starts pounding, your self-esteem takes a hit, and you feel an overwhelming urge to react, whether by retaliating, defending yourself, or storming out in anger. But pause for a moment. Is that reaction truly you? Or is it simply your mind acting on impulse in response to being hurt? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." His words serve as a powerful reminder. It is not the event itself that shapes our emotions, but how we interpret it. If you see that negative remark as an insult, you will feel hurt. But if you perceive it as just another subjective opinion, it will pass without leaving a mark on your mind. Stoicism does not teach us to suppress our emotions, but to master them. Control does not mean forcing yourself not to feel anger or pain. It means not allowing those emotions to dictate your actions. When faced with negativity, a Stoic pauses, observing their own reaction as if from an outsider's perspective. They acknowledge the rising anger, recognize the feeling of hurt, but they do not let those emotions take control. Let's go back to the party scenario. Instead of letting anger dictate your response, you can choose a different path. Take a deep breath. Pause before reacting. Look directly at the person who criticized you, not with hostility but with calmness. You understand that their words have no power over your worth unless you allow them to. You can choose to respond gently or simply smile and let it go, because you know that what truly matters is your reaction, not someone else's words. This approach not only helps you avoid the negative consequences of impulsive reactions, but it also makes others reflect on their own behavior. When someone provokes you but does not receive the reaction they expected, they are the ones left unsettled. They anticipate anger, resistance, but what they get instead is composed silence. That is the power of mastering your own mind. Training your mind in Stoicism is not an easy journey. It takes continuous practice, beginning with small moments in daily life. When a reckless driver cuts you off, you can respond with frustration or remind yourself that you cannot control others, only your own reactions. When someone says something hurtful, you can allow negative emotions to take over, or remind yourself that their words do not define you. Controlling your mind does not mean becoming emotionless. On the contrary, it grants you the freedom to live with less emotional burden, less impulsivity. It gives you the power to choose how you feel, how you respond, and most importantly, how you live. Because in the end, if you do not control your mind, then surely it will control you. 2. Anger doesn't solve problems. Anger is a natural human reaction, but when we let it take control, we lose the ability to think clearly and act wisely. In those moments, it may feel like yelling, resisting, or venting our frustration gives us power, but in reality, anger rarely helps us solve problems. More often than not, it only adds fuel to the fire, escalating the situation rather than improving it. Imagine you're driving on a busy highway one morning, maintaining a steady speed, when suddenly another car cuts in front of you without warning. Your heart races and a surge of anger flares up instantly. A sense of injustice and frustration floods your mind. If you don't control it, you might slam on the accelerator, honk aggressively, or even shout inside your car, though no one else can hear you. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, will this reaction make things better? If you let anger take over, what could happen? You might cause an accident, put yourself in a dangerous confrontation, and most importantly, lose the calmness you could have chosen to maintain. According to Stoicism, we cannot control the actions of others, but we can absolutely control how we respond to them. As Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the key to managing anger. When someone does something that upsets you, instead of reacting immediately, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this really worth losing my peace over? If the answer is no, then that anger does not deserve your energy. Anger itself is not the enemy, it is a signal. It tells us that something feels wrong, that we feel hurt, disrespected, or treated unfairly. But instead of using it as an excuse to explode, we should use it as a tool to understand the real issue. When someone hurts you, do you need to lash out immediately? Or would it be wiser to reflect on why their words or actions affected you so deeply? When faced with injustice, does yelling truly change the situation? Or would a smarter, more composed approach serve you better? No matter how chaotic the world may be or how unreasonable people can act, your true power lies in how you respond. Someone may try to offend you, but you have the power to not let it disturb your inner peace. There is a common misconception that staying silent or choosing not to react immediately is a sign of weakness. In reality, the opposite is true. Controlling anger requires a high level of discipline and inner mastery. The person who loses their temper the quickest is often the one with the least control. On the other hand, the one who can stand in the middle of a storm observing without being swept away is the strongest. And this leads us to a deeper truth. Calmness is not weakness. It is strength. But why? What makes silence a more powerful weapon than any words? The answer will make you reflect, and that is exactly what we will explore next. 3. Calmness is not weakness. Its strength. Society often assumes that those who are loud, physically dominant, or quick to confront others are the ones who hold real power. In meetings, the loudest voice is often mistaken for the most influential. In arguments, the angriest person may appear to be the winner. But if you look deeper, you'll see a different reality. True strength lies in self-control, not in outbursts. The person who can remain calm even in the most difficult situations is not only strong, but also a master of themselves. When someone raises their voice at you, the natural instinct is to retaliate. You may feel threatened, insulted, and compelled to react immediately. But take a moment and ask yourself, will that reaction truly serve you? More often than not, it only puts you at a disadvantage, making you a puppet of your emotions. The other person's anger ends up controlling you, clouding your judgment and turning the conversation into an endless cycle of conflict. A truly strong individual understands that calmness is neither passivity nor surrender. It is a deliberate strategy. Maintaining composure means that you do not allow others to manipulate your emotions or let external circumstances dictate your inner state. It is this calmness that grants you the greatest power, the ability to remain in control of yourself. Imagine you are in an important meeting. A colleague, either dissatisfied or eager to assert dominance, suddenly refutes your opinion in a harsh tone. The room falls silent and all eyes turn to you, waiting to see how you will respond. At this moment, you have two choices. Retaliate immediately, defending your stance with the same harshness, escalating the discussion into a personal confrontation. Stay composed. Observe their reaction, take a deep breath, and respond in a calm yet firm manner. If you choose the first option, the meeting will likely become more tense, dragging everyone into conflict rather than working toward a solution. But if you choose the second, you will earn the respect of the entire room. Your composure will not only neutralize the attack, but also allow you to respond more convincingly and rationally. One of the most powerful examples of calmness and resilience is Mahatma Gandhi. When facing the oppressive rule of the British Empire, rather than resorting to violence, he followed the principles of ahimsa, nonviolence, and satyagraha, insistence on truth. Under his leadership, millions of Indians engaged in peaceful protests, marches, and acts of civil disobedience. A remarkable instance was the Salt March of 1930. Gandhi led a group of followers on a 380-kilometer walk to protest the British salt tax. They were unarmed. They did not incite violence. They simply walked. Yet this seemingly powerless act shook the very foundation of the British Empire. While their oppressors resorted to violence, Gandhi and his followers remained composed, earning global admiration. He proved that true power does not lie in brute force, but in the ability to remain steadfast and in control of oneself. The reality is, those who lose their temper quickly are not as strong as they believe. Those who shout, threaten, or overreact are actually revealing their own weaknesses, a lack of self-control. Unable to master their emotions, they attempt to dominate others through aggression. But if you refuse to react as they expect, their power over you disappears. When you control your emotions, you do more than just disarm your opponent. You affirm a deeper truth. You are the one in charge, not them. Remaining calm in difficult moments is not just a skill, it is a reflection of dignity. It demonstrates that you do not allow yourself to be dragged down by negativity or let anyone else dictate your mood. A truly strong person has no need to raise their voice to prove their worth, nor to assert power through aggression. They understand that the greatest strength lies in mastering themselves. And once you have mastery over yourself, no one can manipulate you. True strength is not determined by what happens externally. It comes from within. And when you remain calm, you have already won, even before the battle begins. 4. Life is unfair, but that doesn't matter. Perhaps you felt this way before. You work hard, pour your heart and soul into a project, yet the promotion goes to a colleague who put in far less effort. Or maybe you always treat others with kindness only to have your trust betrayed. Injustice is an inevitable part of life, and if we allow it to consume us, we will remain trapped in an endless cycle of resentment and disappointment. Stoicism teaches us an important truth. You cannot mold the world to your liking, but you can control how you respond to it. Instead of suffering over things beyond your power, shift your focus to the one thing you can master: yourself. Once you fully grasp this, life's unfairness will no longer feel like a burden. Instead, you'll recognize it as an objective reality, no different from the rain or the sun. You cannot change it, but you can choose how to move forward. Now imagine waking up one day to discover that you have no arms or legs. What would you do? Would you give up? Or would you find a way to keep going? Nick Vujicic doesn't have to. Imagine. This is his reality. Born with the rare tetra amelia syndrome, he has lived his entire life without limbs, something most people would consider the ultimate misfortune. His childhood was filled with hardship, insecurity, and despair. At one point, he even wanted to end his life. But then, he came to a profound realization. If he couldn't change his circumstances, he could change how he faced them. Despite his condition, Nick learned to brush his teeth, write, swim, and even play soccer, all using just his small torso. Not only did he find a way to live independently, but he also became an inspirational speaker, touching the lives of millions worldwide. He may not have arms or legs, but he possesses a strength that many able-bodied people do not, an unbreakable spirit. He is a living testament to the philosophy of Stoicism. While we cannot control what happens to us, we always have the power to control how we respond. This is the essence of Stoicism. We cannot alter reality, but we can always choose our reaction to it. Picture yourself standing in the middle of a raging storm. You can curse the sky for the wind and rain, or you can seek shelter and use the time to reflect and grow. A person who lives in resentment will always be a prisoner of their circumstances, while someone who embraces Stoicism will never allow external forces to defeat them. So how can we apply this mindset to our daily lives? The next time you feel like you've been treated unfairly, ask yourself, will getting angry or complaining change the situation? If the answer is no, then dwelling on it is nothing more than a waste of time and energy. Instead, redirect that energy toward what you can control, sharpening your skills, strengthening your mind, and continuing to push forward. The truth is, life will not always be fair, but that doesn't matter. What matters is how you choose to respond. Will you allow injustice to break you, or will you use it to become stronger? Before we move on to the next section, can I ask you for a small favor? If you've enjoyed what you've learned so far and you're smiling right now, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Why? Because every time you like and subscribe, you're letting YouTube know that this content is worth sharing. That helps spread this message to others who might need a little motivation, just like you. So let's keep sharing positivity and self-improvement together. Now think back to a recent moment where you lost control. Maybe someone insulted you, or a bad day made you explode in anger. But ask yourself, did you really lose control, or was it a choice? Let's explore that next. 5. Losing control is a choice. Most of us believe that our emotions are dictated by external circumstances, by how others treat us, by unexpected situations, by the chaos of everyday life. But if you examine this closely, you'll realize something important. We don't lose control because of others. We lose control because we choose to. Think of a common scenario. You're standing in line at the checkout counter in a supermarket when suddenly someone blatantly cuts in front of you. Instantly, you feel a surge of anger. Your heart races, your fists clench. A part of you wants to protest immediately. But then you recall an essential principle of Stoicism. You cannot control others' actions, but you can control how you react. At that moment, you have two choices. Let anger take over, reacting impulsively. Remain calm, act with dignity, and stay in control. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Remember, it is not enough to be hit or insulted to be harmed. You must believe that you are being harmed." This reveals a powerful truth. No one can make you lose control unless you allow it. When someone insults you, if you become angry, it means you have handed over control of your emotions to them. When an unexpected problem makes you panic, it's because you have allowed it to dominate your mind. Now think of someone you admire, a teacher, a mentor, a friend, someone who remains calm even in the most difficult situations. Have you ever wondered why they don't easily lose their temper? What allows them to smile even in the face of criticism? It's not that they never feel anger or disappointment. It's that they understand a simple but profound principle. Losing control is a choice, and they choose not to lose it. A thought-provoking story. One day, during rush hour on a crowded train, a young man accidentally stepped on an older man's foot. The young man immediately apologized. The older man simply nodded, continued reading his book, and said nothing. Another passenger witnessing the scene asked curiously, "Why aren't you upset? If that were me, I would have scolded him." The old man smiled and replied, "He didn't do it on purpose, and I don't want to waste my time being angry. My anger won't ease the pain in my foot. It would only burden my mind." What can we learn from this? Most people believe they must react when faced with an undesirable situation, that anger, frustration, or anxiety are inevitable. But in reality, emotions are merely the result of how we interpret events. One person may see line cutting as an act of disrespect and get furious. Another may see it as a test of patience. One person may take criticism as a personal attack. Another may see it as an opportunity to improve. How to train your mind not to lose control. So how can we strengthen our minds to avoid losing control? Recognize that you always have a choice. When a negative emotion arises, pause and ask yourself, will my reaction help or hurt me? If it won't help, why waste your energy on it? Remember, silence is often more powerful than any rebuttal. A calm demeanor can unsettle others far more than an emotional outburst. Train yourself to control your thoughts. When anger or anxiety starts creeping in, remind yourself, I cannot control others, but I can control myself. This doesn't mean tolerating or ignoring wrongdoing. It means responding wisely instead of being led by impulse. Understand that real strength is in composure. True power is not in reacting fiercely, but in remaining calm when everything around you is chaotic. When you master the art of inner peace, nothing can shake you. This is the essence of Stoicism. You cannot control the world, but you can control how you perceive it. And in the end, losing control, or not, will always be your choice. 6. Don't get stuck in the past or the future. Have you ever regretted a lost opportunity? Or worried about things that haven't even happened yet? Have you ever felt trapped between two uncontrollable realities? The past, which is gone, and the future, which hasn't arrived? This is how many people live, or rather exist. But if you want to train your mind to stay calm in any situation, you must first learn to break free from this cycle. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is to live fully in the present, because that is the only thing you truly own. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once said, Remember that man lives only in the present, in this fleeting instant. All the rest of his life is either past and gone or not, yet revealed. This isn't just abstract philosophy, it's a practical reminder. We often torment ourselves with unchangeable memories or stress over uncertain futures. But in doing so, we lose the one thing we do have control over, the present moment. When mind in, mind out, the mind is stuck in the past, we cannot change anything. When the mind is lost in the future, we only create stress. But when we focus on the present, we gain the power to act, to change, and to control ourselves. How to train your mind to stay present. The key lies in mindfulness, a technique that Stoic philosophers practiced long before it became a modern trend. It doesn't mean you have to meditate for hours or disconnect from the world. It simply means being consciously aware of the present, of your breath, your body, and your surroundings. Every time your mind wanders to the past or the future, gently bring it back to the present. A story about Novak Djokovic. Take, for example, tennis champion Novak Djokovic. He once admitted that he used to obsess over past losses or fear the outcome of future matches. These thoughts distracted him, preventing him from staying focused in crucial moments. But everything changed when he learned a simple but powerful lesson. Live in each point of the game. Instead of dwelling on past mistakes or worrying about the next set, he trained his mind to focus only on the present shot. No more anxiety over past failures. No more stress about what might happen next. Just complete focus on the moment in front of him. This shift in mindset gave him the mental control and clarity to overcome challenges and defeat even the toughest opponents. His journey proves that success isn't just about skill, it's about mastering the mind and staying in the present. The power of now. This lesson applies not just to sports, but to every area of life. If you let the past and future control you will never truly live. But if you focus on the present, you will find peace, strength, and the ability to make better decisions. So what about you? Do you often get stuck in old memories or worry about the future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 8. Don't let circumstances define. Your life is an endless flow of events. Some people are born into adversity, grow up in hardship, and face challenges that seem impossible to overcome. In those moments, a question echoes in the mind. Can we change our destiny? Stoicism provides a clear answer. Circumstances do not define who you are. Only your response to those circumstances determines who you become. The story of a boy who refused to be defined. Imagine a boy born into poverty. From a young age, he hears whispers around him. This boy will never amount to anything. Society looks at him with pity, as if his fate is already sealed. At first, he believes those words. He thinks poverty is a life sentence, that dreaming beyond his circumstances is foolish. But then, one day he realizes something profound. Circumstances are just a temporary backdrop, not an everlasting identity. If he continues to accept what others impose on him, if he allows his circumstances to define him, he will be the one standing in the way of his own future. And so, he begins to change. Step by step he learns, trains, seeks opportunities, and persistently moves forward. Your response defines you. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus, this single truth holds immense power. What you go through does not define who you are. It is your attitude toward those experiences that shapes you. When facing challenges, you have two choices. Let circumstances define you. feel helpless, blame fate, believe you have no control over your reality, define yourself through your response, accept reality, but refuse to let it limit your thinking, seek solutions instead of dwelling in complaints. Returning to the story of the poor boy, what made him change wasn't a miracle. It was a shift in mindset. I am not my circumstances. I can become anyone if I persist and try hard enough. He realized that the limits others placed on him only had power if he accepted them. With determination, he overcame all barriers and became successful in his own way. You are more than your struggles. You may be in a difficult situation. Perhaps you were born into hardship or are facing challenges that seem overwhelming. But remember this, you are not defined by what you are going through. The essence of a Stoic mindset is facing adversity calmly, without allowing circumstances to shake your belief in yourself. When the world tries to label you, when people insist you cannot change, stay silent. Face the truth. Stand firm and remind yourself, I am not limited by my circumstances. I am the one who creates my own path. And when you hold on to this truth, when you refuse to let external events define you, you will discover that true strength has always been within you. Conclusion: the power of Stoic calmness. How you react to the world determines whether it can shake you. Calmness is not a natural reaction. It is a skill that must be cultivated. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus emphasized that inner peace is shaped by our thoughts, not our circumstances. When you learn to control your reactions, you master your emotions and gain control over how the world affects you. Powerful silence, a calm attitude, and the ability to stand firm. These are the hallmarks of a disciplined mind. Now, over to you in your daily life. Have you ever applied Stoic calmness? Are there situations where you struggle to control your emotions? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss future content on Stoicism. There are many more profound lessons waiting for you in the next videos. Keep exploring, and I'll see you soon.